All right, 1 second here. Mm. All right, so we'll go on to this Q&A. Game one, we'll go on to this Q&A. There was a question before. I want to hit that first. Someone asked about the Noahide laws. Just want to speak about that for a second. Someone had asked that can it be said Noah had the laws, right? There's 7 Noahide laws, right? Don't steal, don't commit adultery, um, don't do idolatry, set up law courts, right? 7 are an umbrella, right? They're more than 50, let's say 60 altogether. So somebody had asked, can it be said that Noah had the law because it says in the parsha, it says in Parshas Noah that Noah exited the ark, he built an altar to Hashem, built sacrifices. Sorry, and burnt sacrifice. Therefore, the first question really is, without knowledge of the law, how do you know what to bring, what sacrifice, pure and impure, right? So that we would say there's also bringing in the animals. Bringing in the animals, how do you know which are kosher or not kosher? So we know that the Torah says it must be Noach learned Torah. Now, there's an obvious question, and that is that a non-Jew learns Torah, that who learns Torah is liable for death penalty. So now you're going to say, wait a minute. It says Noach learned Torah, right? So what does it mean? What does it mean he learned Torah? So a simple explanation would be that he learns what was applicable for him to know, that he had to know to function in this world. In other words, a non-Jew got an obligation to learn those laws that apply to them. Laws that don't apply, seemingly stay away from, right? They don't apply. If it's something, now even the laws that apply, the whole question is how much can they really delve into it anyway, right? So as a Jew, it's different. So even something, let's say, something that would not necessarily apply to an Noahide, whatever that may be. So if they learn about it, they hear about it, okay. If they learn it in depth, they want to know more about it, it doesn't apply to them, that'd be a problem. But in general, it says a non-Jew that learns Torah, liable for death penalty, very good. Problem is, someone wants to convert. If someone wants to convert, how are they going to convert if they don't learn Torah? Right? It's going to be a problem. In other words, they'll never know anything if they don't learn Torah. So they have to learn Torah. Or they have to learn at least what they need to do, right, in order to convert. So they have to learn. 100%, they have to learn. So there's a question, one of the way the commentaries asks, that really for a non-Jew in the process of conversion, the Gemara says, and this question comes up a lot as well, that people will say, well, doesn't the Gemara say, you teach them a little bit stringencies, a little bit about the leniencies, right? And then you convert them. So why do people have to take classes? Why do they have to learn a lot? Moving to a community, right? But let's make it easy. Yeah, according to this later commentary, if they learned a little bit about kashrus, a little bit about Shabbos, a little bit about other things, according to this, they can convert. Right? They should be allowed to convert. Now, obviously, things are different today. People say, come on, people are adding to the Torah. Again, let's analyze what the statement is. It says you teach them a little bit of the stringencies, a little bit about the leniencies. Now, right before someone, dunks and goes into the mikveh, the rabbinical court's going to ask, do you agree to abide by what the rabbis say, whether stringent or lenient or whatever? Person says yes, they go dunk, and that's very good. So what happened over here? You can say maybe it was a different generation. Maybe, if they learned a little bit, they know a lot more than most people do today. Maybe you could say that. Or maybe you could say that, even with this, even according to this later commentary, you would learn a little bit. Take you a lot shorter time. Even if you live within the Jewish community. Well, what's the problem? The problem is, if you learn a little bit, I'm not saying it has to be overkill, but if you learn a little bit, what's going to happen? You'll know nothing. You know what they say? You learn a little bit about a lot of different things. That means you know everything about nothing. You'll know nothing, right? Essentially, you'll know very little. It's not going to help you, right? It's certainly not going to help you. You have a little bit of knowledge, but the Gemara further says, why does a non-Jew have it so hard after conversion? Why do converts have it so hard after conversion? They'll say, I didn't have it easy before conversion. Okay, think about what's going to be later. Yeah, how hard it may be. Okay, so a person will say, why is it so hard? Why is it so hard afterwards? Simple explanation, the Gemara says. Because they didn't learn what they were supposed to properly. Right? They did not learn what they were supposed to be properly. What they were supposed to do. Now again, that means it's going to take someone 10 years? No. Does it mean it's going to take 5 years? No. What does the rabbinical court want to see? You have basic knowledge. Right? You know what to do on Shabbos. You know how to work a hot plate. Right? You know what to touch, what not to touch. Right? They want to see you have a working knowledge. They're not expecting, you're going to know every last detail about everything. Right? The real learning starts afterwards. Okay. But you still have to know what to do. So, at face value, we could say that, this is a warning, by the way. The Gemara says they have to be warned and know some of the stringencies and some of the leniencies. That doesn't mean you teach them 3 or 5. You say, okay, here are a few things. Very good. Let's dunk you. Let's make you Jewish. That can't be what it means. I've heard people say, but I don't have to take this long, and I don't have to take any class. Okay, so get the knowledge. So go find the knowledge yourself. Plenty of people have tried, plenty of people do that. Right? But what's the rabbinical court going to tell them? If they have world-class knowledge, they weren't by themselves, they have to be geniuses, whatever, okay. They're going to walk in front of a rabbinical court, they'll have all the answers, great. Right? But doesn't everyone in the world need guidance? Of course they need guidance. Coming out of left field. It's a lot of information. A lot of information to digest. A lot of cases that's, not so obvious. Some are, but then you have to extrapolate. It's apply to this, apply to that, apply to the other thing. So a person has to know some stringency, some leniencies. That's true. They have to know what they're up against, what they have to do. Right? In some things. Okay. But Is that an exhaustive thing? It's not an exhaustive thing. They're like the middle of the minimal. And if a person did that, the Gemara says, okay. Yeah, there's such a case, this is mind-boggling. The Gemara says, what if a person never heard about Shabbos? They never heard about Shabbos, and they converted. Is it a good conversion? Good conversion. How can you not hear about Shabbos? Good question. Well, let's say they got converted, but they didn't really know anything about Shabbos. Can happen. I mean, theory. You have to have working knowledge. That's what they want to see. Is it going to be, exhaustive knowledge? I wouldn't go that far. But see, it's to a person's benefit, even if it takes longer. Because you want to get the right knowledge. You want to get the right information. You want to know what to do, even if it takes longer. Because then you'll make fewer mistakes later. So you're right. Noah must have learned Torah. But the question is, that's what Rashi says. So if Noah learned Torah very good, how is he allowed to learn Torah as a non-Jew? Non-Jew is not allowed to learn Torah. So a Noahide, even if they don't convert, which non-Jews don't have to convert, but in general, they have to know what they're obligated in. They have to know what the Noahide laws are, what applies, what doesn't apply. Yeah. They're not allowed to learn it like so in depth, even what applies to them. Okay. But still, they have to know what to do. So if you say, in general, that a non-Jew learns Torah is liable with death penalty, two problems. One is, what about things that apply to them, as we said? That's the first question. Second question is, if they want to convert, right? If they decide to convert to Judaism, okay, how are they going to know what to do or how to do things if they don't learn? Catch 22. The Gemara can't say you're liable for a death penalty if you learn Torah and they want to be Jewish because they want them stuck. Right? Can't put you in a position like that. Right? So therefore it means that, they're allowed to learn things that apply to them. Can't learn it, as in depth, etc. But they have to learn what applies to them. And even as a Jew, and even if they want to convert, okay. So they're allowed to learn things. They're allowed to learn things that apply, what applies to Jews. Right? But according to this, though, if you only learn a little bit, they'll never convert. They won't be able to convert. Right? So then someone's going to say, come on, rabbinical courts make it way too hard. They have to know so many hard, so many things, so many laws. Okay. But it's in depth. You just learn a little bit about, about these subjects. You won't know anything. Right? So I told my Rabbi this. Because I don't understand. Yeah. If we go according to that, these converts won't know anything. They'll know very little. So it has to be, they're allowed to learn what applies to them. Certainly if they want to convert, they have to know what to do. And that's not adding to the Torah or whatever. That's explaining what they need to do. That's saving their lives. Because imagine they didn't learn the laws of Shabbos. Or they don't learn them so well. Big problem. Person will transgress every second. Every Shabbos. Chofetz Chaim, in his introduction to the third chiluk of the Mishnah Berurah, third part of the Mishnah Berurah, which speaks about all the laws of Shabbos, Chofetz Chaim in his introduction says, he's not cursing anyone, but he says that in order to learn the laws of Shabbos, you have to review a lot. Why? Because if you don't review, he says you will transgress. Because the laws are complex. You will transgress, he says. He's not cursing anyone. He's telling you the mitzvos. He's telling you what's going on. And he's telling you the facts. You go through the material very good, you don't review it, you forget it. And the reason you'll forget is very simple. It has nothing to do with brain power. The reason a person will forget is because the laws are numerous. Lots of laws of Shabbos. Lots of detail. And if you don't go in through all the details, you'll make mistakes. You'll for sure make mistakes. All right, that's first question. Second question, let me get the second question here. Do we derive the Noahide laws based on the instruction that God spoke to Noah over in this parsha, right, last week, that Hashem told Noah, every living being, right, to go out, be fruitful, multiply, or is he telling people, yeah, and is multiply referring to animals, or is it being referred to be fruitful, multiply for humans? So first thing is, it's a good question. And one thing to keep in mind is that the Noahide laws are learned out from some verses in Genesis. In the book of Genesis, very good. But who are the laws given to first? They weren't given to Noah first. They were given to Adam. Adam passed it down and it got to Noah. Then it got to Noah. And then it got codified afterwards. There was, I think Adam gave him 6, he added a 7th one. Something probably very common, living from a live animal. I'm sure that happens all the time. Right? But Adam was the one who passed them down, as the Rambam explains in the Laws of Kings. He passed them down. So it wasn't just Noah came and said, God told me all these laws. It was passed down. That was passed down. So then the question is, okay, when it was time to leave the ark, God told Noah, every living being is to go out and be fruitful and multiply. Right? He really spoke to man. He spoke into Noah and said, go be fruitful and multiply. Now, very interesting, the Torah already said to Adam and Eve, be fruitful and multiply. The Torah already has a precedence to be fruitful and multiply. Very good. Question is, if that is true, the Torah already said it. Why does the Torah over here say it again? God tells man, go out and be fruitful and multiply. Torah never repeats anything for no reason. So comes along God, he tells Noah to be fruitful and multiply. Comes along the Sefer HaChinuch. Sefer HaChinuch, written 400 or 500 years ago. And he goes through every Torah portion and what mitzvahs come out of every Torah portion. In Genesis, there are only 3. The entire book of Genesis, there are 3 commands, 3 mitzvahs. Right? One of them is this mitzvah, be fruitful and multiply. The other is circumcision. And the third is don't eat from the Gidon Nashim. Do not eat from the sciatic nerve. That's it, 3 mitzvahs. But he goes through every parsha. Whatever mitzvahs there are in the parsha, he goes through them and he explains them. He explains what the source of it is and what it means and all that. This comes along the Sefer HaChinuch, and the Sefer HaChinuch over there says, where do I learn how Peru Vu? Meaning to be fruitful and multiply. Where do I learn it out? What's everyone's going to say? I would have said the same thing. So I saw this. I would have said the command to be fruitful and multiply, who was it given to? Adam and Eve. Right? That seems obvious. Right? God said to Adam and Eve, be fruitful and multiply. Right? Comes on the Chinuch and says, very good, that's for a different reason that command was given. The command given in Parshas Noach to be fruitful and multiply, that's the mitzvah. That is the mitzvah going on man, to be fruitful and multiply. Now remember one thing, it does not say the Jews. Noach wasn't a Jew. His kids weren't Jews. Right? You start to ask the question by Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, right? That were they Jews or were they Noahites? Big question. So if you go to the book of Genesis, a lot of questions here. A lot of questions. Right? Jacob marries two sisters. That's forbidden according to the Torah. So how could he have kept the Torah? How could he have kept the Torah before it was given? You have Judah and Tamar be together. Some say they live together afterwards. That's forbidden. Father-in-law, daughter-in-law, forbidden. Yeah, there are a lot of questions. You could ask, if you say they're Jews, or at least they wanted to keep Jewish law according to what the future was going to bring, so there are going to be a lot of questions here. But the point is the mitzvah of being fruitful and multiply applies over here command, and that is the command to be fruitful and multiply. Now, one other thing, mankind has an obligation to be fruitful and multiply, right? Jews and non-Jews. But non-Jews have the obligation because you need to populate the world. So their obligation is a little bit different. I mean, it's very different. First of all, it doesn't matter, how many kids they have. Second of all, it doesn't matter, how many years in between, and contraception and other things. That's, may or may not apply to Jews. So Jews also have to have kids, but it's a different thing. Totally different thing. Now, what happens if a non-Jew doesn't have kids? Or let's say Jew doesn't have kids. A Jew doesn't have kids. Say, isn't it a big mitzvah to have kids? Yes. And if they didn't, they didn't. Like any mitzvah you didn't do. A Jew's got an obligation every day except the festival or Shabbos, put on tefillin. And what happens if they didn't put on tefillin today? Then you get the mitzvah. You didn't do it, you didn't do it. Now, if someone's living together, if someone's married, right? Someone's married, right? For a Jew here. Somebody's married, and let's say 10 years, they don't have kids. Now, you see, by Abraham, he didn't have kids for many years. So the question is, if after 10 years, the person doesn't have kids, should he get divorced? Is he obligated to get divorced? And the answer is not obligated, right? Wouldn't necessarily say obligated. But yeah, so wouldn't say obligated here. But the question is going to be, is it a good thing to do or not? How are we going to look at it? Right? How's Torah going to look at it? As we would say. So you got to keep in mind that some people say, oh, you didn't do the mitzvah. Oh, you didn't do this. I just learned with someone yesterday. In Shari Tshuva, Gate to Repentance. Rabbi Yoda says, person doesn't do a certain positive command. Punishment very, very severe. For example, if you're mavaza the moedos, if you scoff, not the holidays, you scoff at Chol HaMoed, intermediate days, Passover or on Sukkot. So Chol HaMoed Chol means every day, Moed means a festival. Yeah. So you almost treat it like a festival. You have to have a festive meal, you should have meat, you should drink wine. Right? So things that you do if you have to work, okay, you're allowed to work. But keep in mind, anything that would, let's say it's not the spirit of the holiday or whatever, it could be a Torah prohibition. Very, very big difference of opinion, whether it's a Torah prohibition or a rabbinic prohibition. Now, even with that, what would I say? The Rabbi Yonah says, you scoff, you make fun of the holidays, i.e., intermediate days of Chol Moed. Who's your portion of the world to come? Very, very severe. Somebody asks, why is it so severe? He didn't put on tefillin one day. Why is that so severe? Positive commands. Positive commands. So what's the big deal? Okay, you didn't do it. Intermediate day of the festival, you're tired, whatever it may be. You didn't, whatever. You didn't treat it with the proper respect. Such a severe punishment? So simple answer I gave is, Rabbi Yonah says later, any positive command you don't do, there's no positive command not dependent on resurrection of the dead. That's how severe it is. But the person asked, okay, but why? Why should that be? Why should it be so severe? And what's the answer? Because it shouldn't be looked at as light in your eyes. Should be okay. I didn't put on tefillin today. I was lazy. I should have done it. I didn't. Whatever. There's repentance. Don't forget there's repentance. Well, think about it. Okay, you didn't do it. Oh, you spoke Lashon Hara. You didn't do it. We're not even talking about where you're under onus. You didn't have a choice. It was beyond your means. Whatever. We're not even talking about that. You didn't do it for whatever reason. Punishment is severe. Because mitzvahs should not be treaded on. They shouldn't be looked at as being light in your eyes. Oh, what's the big deal? Keep kosher. Don't keep kosher. You did this. You didn't do that. Some people would say. Has an effect on the soul. Has an effect on what you do. Gotta listen to next week's broadcast. Spoke about that yesterday. Yeah. The verity of what we do. Repercussions. This world, spiritual world, both worlds. Where's the things what I do? Come on. Yeah. Doesn't really affect others. Just the opposite. It affects you. It affects people around you. And it has an effect in the world. Right? I'll give you one very simple example. Speech. Remember, on Yom Kippur, most of the al-chet that we beat our chest for, and we say, we shouldn't have done this in front of God, that in front of God, most of it has to do with what? Speech. Forbidden speech. That's what it has to do with. So when it comes to forbidden speech, you can understand the way a person speaks. There are people out there that speak like a truck driver. No offense, any truck drivers out there. Yeah. They speak like a sewer. They curse. They speak Lashon Hara. Doesn't that affect people? And why doesn't it? Why, for a lot of people, it doesn't affect them? Because they're totally desensitized. They've heard it so many times, it doesn't affect them anymore. Doesn't affect them. Mind-boggling. Because you hear it so often, you don't think there's anything wrong with it. So, speech we can understand. But see, most people don't think there's anything wrong with it. How they speak, who they speak against. This person deserves it. Look what they did. And even if they did, you should right to say whatever you want when you want. No. Within certain parameters. If you meet the criteria, okay. If not 31 prohibitions, more than 30 prohibitions, one shot. But if you're sensitive to the way people speak, right? You hear a class about Lashon Hara or about cursing or whatever, and it resonates. And then all of a sudden you hear someone curse. Now, you might have not been so righteous 10 minutes before, but now you have a different awareness. So when you look at that awareness, and then someone says something like, ew, you speak like a sewer. Are you any different? Were you any different 10 minutes ago? No. Now you have a different awareness. It affects you now. Why does it affect other people? Because they're used to it. And because they're used to it, doesn't affect them. But see, it does. Everything we see, everything we do affects the soul. And everybody has a soul. Right? God created, everybody in his image. God just might not have all the aspects of the soul a Jew does, okay. But they're still affected. See, the more a person does all this, the harder it is to stop and the worse effect it has on the soul. I'll make it even more graphic. Imagine a person for a long time worked on not cursing, right? Let's say 1 hour a day, they work on not cursing. Over time, they build up this resistance. Makes them feel good that they don't curse. Disgusts them, they hear someone else curse. So let's say they're building their sukkah, bang, 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 right? They take right hand or left thumb, whap. Can happen. Yeah, they hit their thumb. Now, they've been working on themselves for a long time. They're about to say every 4-letter word in the book, and they don't. That's a huge level. Huge level. They didn't curse. I don't want to depress everyone. I'll take it one step further. Right? You didn't forget the words. You know the words very well. But so you didn't curse. Beautiful. It's an amazing thing. But then I'll ask one other question. While you're in pain after taking the hammer and striking your thumb, did you think any curse words in your mind? They're like, Rabbi, come on. We're human. We're flesh and blood. You really think I'm an angel? Not going to at least think a curse word? Not going to think at all a curse word? Okay. What's my point? There are different levels. But if a person, hasn't necessarily been working on themselves, and someone says something, does something, you get hurt, whatever it is, and then a person just lets it loose and curses. They go back to the same thing. Because it's hard to stop. Anything that's bad becomes part of your system, becomes part of your psyche. Yeah. Person's under stress, other things can come up that now haven't come up in years. In years. Why does it come up now? Because you're under a lot of stress, you're under a lot of pressure. And then what happens is like you explode. So now all these things come out, but you haven't done this in years. Now, what does that mean? It means that the things that are fundamental part of a person, even if they're deeply buried, they're still there. They're still there. I mentioned last week, I quoted the Brady Bunch. I hadn't seen anything of the Brady Bunch in years. Many, many, many years. What was my statement? Winners never cheat and cheaters never win. Well, today might be different. Cheaters can win. Okay. Yeah. That stuck out while I was watching the Brady Bunch, years and years ago. Statements like that, or, kids are playing ball in the house, they break a vase. Mom always said, don't play ball in the house. Right? People remember that? Come on. Roto Rooter, right? Start singing all these commercials, show all my knowledge, all my great knowledge. That stuff is still there. Didn't disappear. Did not disappear. Right? Movie lines. People don't forget. They're there. They're there. The soul doesn't forget. It could be 40 years, 50 years. You haven't even thought of this thing. And somehow, I don't know, memory gets jarred or whatever happens, all of a sudden this thing comes out. You say, but I haven't thought about that in 30 years, 20 years, whatever it is. I haven't even thought about it. Why did it come up? Because even though it's deeply buried, it didn't disappear. So images that we see, things that we heard, they don't fully disappear. They don't fully disappear. They're there. So when a person's under pressure, and you've been working on yourself, let's say not to curse, what's the first thing that's going to happen? Or one of the first things that's going to happen, you're going to about to curse. You're about to say whatever you're going to say. But you catch yourself. Sometimes the person blurts it out. Knee-jerk reaction, but you got to be in control also. But it's kind of hard to just smash your thumb, okay? But who says you're allowed to curse if you smashed your thumb? Torah wasn't given to malachim. Torah wasn't given to angels. We're not angels. Okay. But does God want you to curse? No. Does he want you to speak Lashon Hara? No. Are these things we got to work on? Of course we got to work on them. But see, remember, if you let this garbage in, and that's what we're surrounded by, it's very hard to fight. Because you hear it all the time. I hear people tell me all the time. You know, I'm at work, I hear this person curse, that person, that person curse. You know, what's even worse, see, if it's by a secular person, I don't really care. Right? If they're not, like I say, even by Jews. Yeah. They're going to say they're not bound by the Torah, they don't hear by the Torah, whatever. For sure, non-Jews. Imagine, you're outside, wherever you are in a public place. Yeah. And someone's like, someone like spits. Right? People know I can't stand personal hygiene kind of annoys me. Yeah. One of the things I got to work on. But that kind of gross. You say, well, what's the person supposed to do? You got this thing in your throat, you want to spit it out. Well, we'll bring in English over here. Yeah. I don't know if every Englishman or English woman, right? On the street is gonna spit. Maybe they will. Maybe, there's no Emily Post anymore. Nobody cares. Nobody cares about personal hygiene or whatever. But think about it. We're not talking about someone got something stuck in their throat. Someone gets a Heimlich or whatever, and they got to spit it out. Okay. Not talking about that. They're going to feel like something in their mouth. They spit. Now, in general, should a person spit? Just like spit on the street? Person has to spit. Okay. You got a tissue, something. It's kind of gross. I would think it's kind of gross. But people do it. I'm always amazed sometimes. I don't know why. I don't know why. Or you see someone sneeze. All right, they just don't care. They don't cover their mouth. It's like, the whole building shakes. When they sneeze. It's gross. I'm not even talking about where anything comes out. That's even worse. Yeah. Well, someone sneezes. What happened to hygiene? Or like they're talking to you, they sneeze right in your face. They don't even look the other way. All right, I could go on for days with this, right? Where's the education here? If you tell me you're secular or non-Jew, okay. Yeah, I'm not gonna have any claims because they're not, they're not bound by anything. They just do what they feel like doing. But if you're bound by the Torah, derech eretz kidmo l'Torah, right? First, you have derech eretz. You should think. You should have, you should take hygiene seriously. Cough in front of somebody, cover your mouth. But I have to get sick? There are plenty of things I need to do. One thing I don't need to do is be sick. Right, get sick, you get sick, but germs spread. Okay, this is biology 101. Germs spread, they can spread pretty quick. Now, if someone's got an allergy, okay, so I mean you're gonna have allergies. If someone's got a cold or whatever, cover your mouth. So there's one of two answers I always give. One answer, why people do this? One answer is either they were never taught, right? It could be parents never taught them. Okay, can happen. Or even if they were taught, they just don't think it's important. It's not a big, it's not a big idea. Some people will be horrified by this. Good, it should be. Other people like, or even worse. All right. I won't go further. I go further. I'm not going to, but it's mind-boggling. It's mind-boggling. See, if an Orthodox Jew would do it, people would look, disgusting. How could someone do that? Anyone else does it, no one looks the other way. No one looks, nobody cares. How can people not care? Spread disease, get someone else sick. So again, either it's not important to them, or they were never taught, or both. Yeah, so the simple answer here is when the Torah says, and parts know, be fruitful, multiply, it's referring to humans, right? And that's the mitzvah. The mitzvah is on humans at that time. Not in Parshas Bereishis, where God gives the command to Adam and Eve. That wasn't the command to have kids. That command was for something else. But the command to have kids in Parshas Noach, right? Someone says, all right, that's what I'm going to say about that. Somebody asks, reading from Deuteronomy chapter 4, verse 44. 4 to chapter 9, verse 3, okay. It's very adamant about 10 commandments, okay. Is that the main concern if we considered all Rabbi knowledge through the lens of Kabbalah? 10 commandments, there's good reason why each one of them is there. First, belief in absolute God, and that God intervenes in history, took us out of Egypt. Exodus chapter 20, verse 1. Idolatry, right? You have verses against idolatry. You have honoring parents. You have keeping Shabbos. Don't steal, don't kill. Don't covet. Don't take God's name in vain. Now, there's good reason I'm not going to, I'm not going through them, but there's good reason why these are singled out more than any other commands, as called the 10 Commandments. Yeah, the 10 Commandments are not the only commandments in the Torah. All the commandments are crucial, even if we can't do more than half of them. They're still crucial. But you'll tell me belief in one God is important, right? Very, very important, because if you don't, then it's idolatry, right? Essentially, it's idolatry. So, honoring parents, very hard mitzvah to do, even if they're evil, right? Can't disrespect them. I mean, whatever. It's hard mitzvah to do. Difference of opinion whether they have to honor them or not. Shabbos goes back to creation. God stopped creating on Shabbos. Don't covet. You got to say, what's that doing there? 10 Commandments. Oh, going after your eyes, going after desires. Right? Just started Pirkei Avos that it says in chapter 2, Mishnah 16. It says, the eye and horror, a evil eye, and desire take a person. What's the third thing? I forgot the third thing. Evil eye, the evil inclination, the hatred of other people. Remove a person from this world. The evil inclination can destroy people. Coveting can destroy people. Right? Even if a person, let's say, forces someone to sell them something because they desire it, even if they paid money for it, it's still coveting. Right? You hang someone over a cliff and say, you can sell me a house, say, yeah. Even if you paid full price, it's coveting. Even if you paid, still a good sale. Even the person would say, in my mind, I'm going to get this house back if I could, doesn't matter. Brings that, let's say he escapes, sells the house, he goes to court and he says, I want my house back. What's the court going to say? Did you have in your mind and your heart to sell it? He said, yes. I signed to sell, but I was under duress. Doesn't matter. You had every desire to sell it. Well, I was being hung over a cliff. If you're being hanging over a cliff, what are you supposed to do? Right? So I sold it. I ended up selling it. Okay. So that's what I'm supposed to do. No choice. Absolutely no choice. So you say, duress? And what's Basin going to say? Basin's going to say, you sold it. You had intention to sell it. It's like going around in circles. He said, but I didn't want to sell it. I'm being hung over a cliff. So what's the answer? Did you sign the document to sell it? Yes. Was it your intention to sell it? Yes. But I was under duress. End of story. Your desire was to sell it. Yeah, details there. Not so simple, but it works. Essentially, it works. So now, someone says, right, 10 commandments are crucial. A lot of commandments are crucial. 10 commandments stand out. Okay. Is that the main concern if we're considering knowledge through the lens of Kabbalah? Forget about Kabbalah. It has nothing to do with Kabbalah. Each one is important in and of itself. And it stands out by themselves more than other commands. For different reasons. Yeah. It says don't commit adultery. So anything that has to do with immorality, that stands out. These things stand out. But these are not the only mitzvahs that are out there. Yeah. There are plenty of other mitzvahs to do also. And stay away from. Things to stay away from. Right? So what has to do with Kabbalah, I'm not going into. Right? But they do stand out, I agree. They stand out. The question is, why are these specific ones standing out more than others? It's not just keep the 10 commandments, don't do anything else. They do stand out, right? You can ask the question, very good. Why these commands and not others? Aren't there other commands God could have said? Meaning, meaning, there's a command, don't steal. And the 10 commandments. But if you look throughout the Torah, and before, that command is not stealing money or property. How do I know? Because that command was already given before. Not to steal. So what's it talking about? Kidnapping. Right? Commentaries say that's kidnapping. That's what the verse means. Okay. Well, can't kidnapping lead to murder? Could. So, it's also a form of theft and ransom and whatever. Okay. But a person would have thought kidnapping's up there? I don't know. You have to see each mitzvah, what it represents, the depth of what it is, what it's doing there. But there are 603 other commands. Not that we can do them all, but there are other commands as well. You would have thought, what about I don't know, giving charity? Why isn't giving charity up there? Saving lives. Yeah, by helping other people, doing chesed. You're gonna say, come on, you can't command to do chesed, to do acts of loving kindness. Yeah. Yeah, so you have to see each one, why it's brought in over here and not somewhere else. But again, even the laws of Shabbos, right? It says you have an obligation to keep Shabbos. Very good, but doesn't say elsewhere to keep Shabbos. Don't light a fire on Shabbos. Don't cook on Shabbos. Don't carry on Shabbos. Right? Don't carry on Shabbos. So you're going to have that, you're going to have those commands also. But you have a general command to keep Shabbos. But see, in the 10 Commandments, so before the 10 Commandments, you have other commands to keep Shabbos also. So you have to see each one and what it's doing there and what its purpose is, to see why it sticks out more than anything else. But you want to know through the lens of Kabbalah, so I'm not that address. I am not that address. Someone asks, who can really restrict someone's learning if God has given it to them? So let me ask you. So I ask very simple. And that is, what's our obligation in the world? Our obligation in the world is to serve God. That's our obligation. God gave us a book, manufactured himself, passed it down to Moses. Moses passed it down to us. Right? God spoke to Moses, passed it down to us. Very good. So plenty of commands. Do this, don't do that. Now, is there a difference? Are all men created equal, according to the Torah? And what's the answer? No. A Kohen is greater than everyone else. They have different duties. Why are they greater than everyone else? Considered greater than everyone else? Because God said so. God took them out of the Jewish people and said, these are the ones that are going to serve me. These are the ones that are going to teach. A whole lot, except that they can't go to funerals. They don't serve in the temple. They get called up first in synagogue. When there's a Torah reading. Well, that's about it. They can't come in contact with dead body. No real differences today. A few here and there. Who they can marry. Okay. Is a Kohen different than a regular Yisrael? Yes. Right? A regular Yisrael, a regular Jew can marry pretty much who he wants. Right? As long as they're Jewish. He has no limitations. Kohen has limitations. Why does the Kohen have limitations? Because God himself said the Kohen has limitations. The high priest has even more limitations. Now, are men and women created equal? No. Why? Because men and women have different functions, right? That's not the topic here, but men and women have different functions. If women are supposed to be obligated to Torah mitzvahs exactly like a man, she has to pray with 10 men, doesn't matter. You got a whole bunch of kids, deal with it. Get a babysitter. I don't know, work it out. They have different obligations. Women are not bound by mitzvahs, bound by time. Because they have other obligations. If they don't have kids to worry about and this and that, they still don't have an obligation to pray. With the minyan. If they want to, they can. They're not obligated to. They have different obligations. Different obligations doesn't mean one is better than the other. We say in the morning, right? Men say in the morning, we say, thank God I'm not a woman. And a woman says, thank God created me in your image, according to your will. Right? We also say, thank God I'm not a slave. Thank God I'm not a non-Jew. So what do we discriminate against? Women? Non-Jews? Yes. No. What does it mean? What's the context? Mitzvahs. Women are not bound by mitzvahs that are bound by time. Women don't have to keep mitzvahs bound by time. Now, some they do. Right? Certainly sitting in sukkah. a woman can sit in a sukkah. Now, does she make a blessing? Good question. Difference of opinion. Ashkenazic tradition says they do make a blessing. Sephardic tradition says they don't. Why? They don't have an obligation to sit in the sukkah. They have different obligations. If they have different obligations, again, doesn't mean one is better than the other. Any woman, by the way, would want to take over my obligations, and learning and prayer and everything else. Go ahead. Go ahead. You got to learn 10 hours a day. You got to, try and make money at the same time and, do all these other things. Go ahead. So what do you mean? I have different responsibility. You're going to say, I don't have any kids around. Okay, so now you don't have any kids. Good. Yeah, but there's always a but, right? They don't have the same obligation. They don't have the same obligation. Can a woman take on certain obligations? She could. Right? But there's a general rule here. They're not bound by it because they have different responsibility. And as we said, different responsibility does not mean one is better than the other. They have different responsibility. Now, let's broaden it. So now, what about non-Jews? The non-Jews have the same obligation as Jews? Hell no. They don't have the same obligations. They have a lot less mitzvahs. A lot less mitzvahs. Now, there are a lot of things they could do also. Okay. And they can still have a portion of the world to come if they, they do what they're supposed to do. And if they did anything wrong, they repent. You can also have a portion of the world to come. Very good. But again, I'm going to ask the following question. And the following question is, are they created the same? Do Jews and non-Jews, let's say better, the Jews and non-Jews have the same obligations, according to the Torah? Nope. The Ramchal says in Derech Hashem that a Jew has the ability exponentially to reach their potential much easier, much faster. I mean, much harder also, I would say, not easier, right? Than a non-Jew. Because the non-Jews at a disadvantage. What's the disadvantage the non-Jews at? Not just the makeup of their soul, right? That's one disadvantage. But they don't have as many commands. But they're not supposed to have as many commands. Why? Because they rejected the Torah. The Jewish people said, Na'aseh v'nishma. We're going to keep and we're going to do what the Torah says. No matter what the Torah says. God went to all the other non-Jewish nations, none of them wanted the Torah. They all rejected it. So now to come and say, how can God limit them? Think about it. Should a non-Jew be doing this, that, and the other thing when it doesn't apply to them? Should a non-Jew be staying up all night if they're not going to convert? Should they be staying up all night on Shavuos? What does Shavuos commemorate? Giving to the Torah. The non-Jews get the Torah? Non-Jews didn't get the Torah. Right? A non-Jew's going to sit at a Passover Seder, start chomping on matzah, 50 pounds of matzah or 20 kilos of matzah. Chomp, 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 35 seconds, got to whistle Dixie, come to my Seder. Right? Drink so much wine, I definitely see Elijah the prophet, not a question. Did non-Jew come out of Egypt? Nope. So I can mention a lot of things non-Jews didn't do, that they're not obligated in, that they don't have really a right to participate in. Right? They're limited. They are limited by God himself. Not just, the rabbi said you can't do this, you can't do that. They are limited by God himself because they don't have the same obligations. They didn't take on the same things. If they didn't take on the same things, where do you get off saying, or where is someone going to say, but you can't limit that? Why not? They don't have the same obligations. Not even close. And the reason they don't have the same obligations is because they didn't accept the Torah. And the Torah explicitly says God gave the Torah to the Jewish people, not the non-Jews. Jewish people are God's chosen people. Doesn't that mean by definition we have a heck of a lot more to do than non-Jews? Of course. Because God gave all the commandments to us. He gave some to non-Jews. Not saying not. He gave some. But why are they going to be limited? Why a non-Jew is going to be limited? Very simple, because they don't have the same obligations. They didn't take on what God gave them an opportunity. You want the Torah? They say no. Right? Go to Asa. God goes to Asa. You want the Torah? Well, it says they're going to live by the sword. And Torah says, don't kill. No, not interested. God goes to Yishmael. You want the Torah? It says, what's written in it? Don't steal. Oh, but we see in this week's Parsha, my hand's in everyone, and everyone's hand is in me. Very good. I got sticky fingers. Not interested. God goes to all the nations, reject the Torah. Avodah Zarah 2b to 3a. God goes to all the nations, they reject the Torah. Now, come the Jewish people, you want the Torah? Sure. Want to know what's written in it? No. Not seven issue. They rejected the Torah. If the non-Jews rejected the Torah, why in the world should they be limited? Why should they be able to straddle both lines and say, I want to be just like a Jew, but I'm going to stay a non-Jew? Where do you get that from? They're limited. They want to tap into things. I see this all the time. They want to learn Kabbalah. They want to learn Gemara. They want to learn other things. These things don't apply to them. They absolutely don't apply to them. So you want it to apply? Good. So convert. You don't want to convert? Okay, you can still eat shrimp. Right? Someone told me. I'd love to convert, but I like shrimp. Okay, we don't need you anyway, so eat shrimp. Good. But you can't straddle both worlds. And even a person would say, had someone tell me this. If my great-great-great-great-great-great-grandfather was there, I never would have rejected Torah. You know what? No one gives a rat's tail if you would have been there or not. Nobody cares. They rejected the Torah. Period. So now someone's going to say, I'm not saying you're asking this, but someone's going to say, I want it, and I want part of it, and I shouldn't be limited. Think again. It's implicit in the Torah. Can't be that way. Can't be that way. They are limited because they don't have the same commands. A person can't come after the fact, thousands of years later. I'm not saying you're doing this, right? Someone can't come thousands of years later, and they're going to say, you know what? I want it, even though my great-great-great-great-grandparents, rejected the Torah. Okay, convert. I don't want to convert. Not interested in conversion. So where does the person say or get off saying, I want to have all the fringe benefits. I shouldn't be limited even if my great-great-great-great-grandparents rejected the Torah. Because they saw it there. God said it. God said it, Mount Sinai, you're my chosen people. Said it through Moses, you're my chosen people. If you're not chosen, you're limited. You want to be part of the princely nation? Beautiful, join it. Convert. Then you can have then you can have everything. You don't want to convert? Okay. But there's reasons why they're limited. Why should they be allowed to tap in? Something belongs to us. Isn't that stealing? God didn't say we're going to allow you to tap into everything. Things that you're allowed to tap in, fine. Why shouldn't they be limited? Their things should be off limits. Yeah, I'll give an example. 3 examples. 3 examples. Yeah, there are 3 times in the Torah that the Torah says this is a sign between me and the Jewish people. One of them is Shabbos. God says a sign between me and the Jewish people. Second one is circumcision. Right? The third, the prophet says, the third thing is filling. Phylacteries, whatever you want to call them. Now, if a non-Jew would come and say, I want to keep all these 3, right? Gemara says non-Jew keeps Shabbos like a Jew, liable for death penalty. Non-Jew wants to learn Torah in order to convert, very good. So they have to keep Shabbos. You got to do something on purpose to break it. But this is a sign between God and the Jewish people. So where does somebody say, I want to tap in? I want to tap in like a Jew or almost like a Jew. Why should I be limited? So people are going to say, come on, doesn't the Rambam say anything a non-Jew does, they're going to get a mitzvah for this, that. Okay, but shouldn't they be limited? Why shouldn't non-Jews be limited? They rejected the Torah. Right? It's like saying, okay, my great-great-great-great-grandparents, they spit in God's face. I'm not spitting in God's face, so I want the benefits. You don't get the benefits. You don't get all the benefits. You get some. You want to get all the benefits, join. You don't want to get all the benefits? Okay. It's your choice. But God says explicitly you're not going to get all the benefits. Explicit. Someone asked right into my first answer, what do we do if non-Jew acts for a Jewish perspective on a parsha? Will we not want to help them? Yeah, you can give an answer. But you're not going to give an in-depth answer. Yeah, you can say, according to Torah, says like this or like this. Give them a short answer, not in-depth. Right? What if they say, oh, but I heard about this medrash, whatever? Okay, so if you know the medrash, good. You can try and explain it to them. Yeah, if they bring it up. Right? But if you have a simple explanation, give them a simple explanation. Who said you have to necessarily go in depth? If it's something in the Torah that's a little bit different, because if they're asking something in the Parsha, okay, right? The Torah can apply to non-Jews also learning about what it means or whatever. Good. So you can explain to them, but again, you're not explaining to them necessarily in depth. Explain to them, give them a simple explanation, give them a 2-minute explanation. Yeah, that's what it means, what it refers to, whatever, that's it. You don't go in depth describing this, that, whatever. But yeah, you have to give an answer. You should give an answer. Definitely should give an answer. How do we honor our parents when they try to discover us from following Judaism and converting, or following God and converting? That's hard. That's hard. Yeah. So, honoring them would mean that they walk in the room, at least once. One should have an obligation to stand up for them, but you can't contradict them. You can't make fun of them. You can't speak Lashon Hara against them. Yeah. And if they say something, oh, I can't believe the Torah says this. So you can't say directly you're wrong, right? That's disrespectful. So if they give you such a hard time, it could be honoring them. You don't have an obligation, like standing up for them and whatever. Maybe that you don't have an obligation, but you can't contradict them, right? If they say something, say, well, I think the Torah says like this. When a person says like that, they'll figure out that what they're saying is wrong. But yeah, it's very hard. You got to try and somehow be respectful, even even if they're saying nasty things. Now, I would say the simple way to do it is have less contact, if possible. I'm not saying cut off contact, but have less contact because it's harder. If they're in your face all the time, yeah, it's going to be hard. So you have to say, listen, you want to have, be more than happy to speak to you about anything else, except Trump, right? Speak about anything else, rather than this. You can say, okay, we can agree to disagree. If they keep harping on it, and they keep giving you a hard time, so you got to make a decision. And the decision's going to be either I cherish the relationship, but I have to be at a distance, or you just have to be willing to take it. You just change the subject. You just change the subject. If you can't do that and you keep getting hammered, okay. I've said this many times. You got to make a decision at some point. Sometimes it's a painful decision. You can say, listen, we're not talking about this anymore. And say, if they get agitated or whatever, you say, listen, you want to speak about other things, fine. This is the path. This is what we decided. You want to speak about anything else, fine. You keep going down this path. I'm going to speak to you. Or, figure out in a nice way, how to say it. I had someone tell me that, well, you would tell people that, cut off ties from family. I said, sometimes. Depends. You don't need to keep getting bashed over the head. Keep having the same conversations, even if it's family. It's very hard. Sometimes you have no choice. You have to be in contact. Okay. But yeah, you have to say, well, we're going to bring out some ground rules now. You want to speak about anything else, we can speak about anything else. You want to keep hammering this point, it's going to cause friction. We don't want to jeopardize the relationship. We still want to have a relationship, a beautiful relationship, right? Whatever it is, but we're not talking about these things. See, when it comes to kids, they start influencing the kids. That's another problem. It's another problem. Again, I'm not saying cut off ties. But, after a while, it gets irritating. It gets really irritating. So you just, I'm not going to say cut your losses, but it's a hard thing. It's a very, very hard thing. Right? So I'd say sometimes, sometimes you got to limit contact. And sometimes you might have to be blunt and say, listen, I'm sick of hearing this. This is what we're doing. Deal with it. Don't bring it up again. Firm. You be firm. But you tell them, we love you. We want to have a relationship, this and that. Then, see, for me, it was a lot easier once I had kids. Once I had kids, and the focus is on grandkids. It was a lot easier. People told me that. I was like, I found it hard to believe, but that is for sure the case. Certainly for me, that was the case. But I'm sure for a lot of people, if they have kids, you're talking about, it's much easier talking about kids than talking about anything else. If you don't have kids, then it's a problem. It's gonna be a thorn in your side. So you have to decide: do you want to have a relationship or not? So if you do want to have a relationship, you have to set ground rules, and then, you have to be firm, but you want to be nice. You want to still have a relationship with them, whatever. And you just have to lay the law down. It's even worse if they're Bible thumpers or whatever. Say, you're going to find hell if you don't believe in JC and this and that. After a while hearing this, like, listen, we don't believe in it. There are a lot of contradictions. You want to hear about it? No. But you're going to find out for everyone, your poor kids. It's like, all right, enough. You want to speak about something else? Speak about something else. You want to have a relationship? Have a relationship. But if you're going to keep going down that road, this relationship might end. I mean, I don't think they have to say it like that, but I would say it's inevitable, almost, that relationships with family are going to be strained. I'm not saying it has to happen. A lot of times it does. And so the question is, what's the follow-up? Eventually, some people just give up and that's it. Yeah, it's easier. They just don't speak about it anymore. But some people just keep hammering the point. So, sometimes you have to be there. You have no choice. And what if they don't listen? What if they say, I'm going to speak about whatever I want? You don't like it? Okay, so then that person has to make a decision what they want to do. 1 second. Let me see the other questions here. Jewish converts possess a Jewish soul before conversion or after conversion? After. Soul is after the conversion. Somebody asked, 2013, most converts to Judaism in the U.S. were converts to Reform Judaism. Okay, let's say it's true. Yeah, 55%, secondly, converts to conservative. Converts to Orthodox Judaism were only 8%. Why is this? Why do you think? How many people want to take on all the mitzvahs? You read a few books, you can be a Reform convert. You read more books, a conservative convert. You want to read all the books, you become Orthodox. Because people don't want to work. They don't want to be Orthodox. Being Reform and conservative is a lot easier. A lot easier. Right? So you want to ask why the statistics so low? Why are they so low by Orthodox Jews? Very simple, because people don't want to go through the process. It's too hard. It's too hard. Too many laws, too many quote unquote antiquated laws. I want to do this, I want to do that. I'm not going to keep Shabbos that way. Whatever. I don't want to listen to the rabbis. Yeah, it's a very small percentage going to convert Orthodox. It's true. Because we make it that much more difficult for people to do it because we want the real deal. Someone says, not the entire world has it. The entire world has the Torah, so what? But look what they've done to the Torah. They made the Torah like into a scrapbook. New and improved edition, other things, destroyed it. Right? You got the Talmud now, it's translated into Korean because, Koreans, think so many good things happen to Jewish people must because they're going Talmud, they're smarter. Okay. So I get all these Koreans learning Gemara. It's out there, they translate it. Okay, I'm not saying it's a good thing. Yeah, so what if it's out there? Even if it's out there, doesn't mean it's good for me to tap into. For people that barely know the alphabet, should they be learning Kabbalah? No. You don't learn how to run until you learn how to walk or crawl. You can't study higher mathematics unless you learn calculus or algebra. So what's the benefit? So what if it's out there? Doesn't matter if it's out there. You got to be ready for it. You have to understand it. If I would say, well, this isn't so important, don't worry about it. Not something you have to worry about. But if I would say, come on, this is so crucial. This is the base of the whole Torah. This is what the Torah means. This is all the explanation. Someone's going to say, great, I want to tap in. If you say it's not so important, okay, nobody cares. If you say it's so important, but you can't do it, everybody cares. See the difference? So what if it's out there? So many translations, French, Spanish, Korean, whatever. Okay, there are a lot of translations. It is out there. I agree. Just because it's out there doesn't mean every Tom, Dick, and Harry can tap into it any way they want. There are guidelines. They're absolutely guidelines. It's not to their benefit either. because they're going to do it in their own way. They're not going to get it right anyway. But they should be, again, even if it's out there, doesn't matter. There are things that are made for them that they can do, things they can't do. And they absolutely should be limited because they didn't take on the Torah. That generation didn't want the Torah. Okay. Yeah. So how can they tap into something that they didn't want? You can say, but I'm an individual. It doesn't matter. Either convert and you can tap into everything or not. Abraham, came on the scene, gave everyone a golden opportunity up until the giving of the Torah Mount Sinai to accept it. You didn't accept the Torah. You didn't want it. Okay. That generation didn't want it, so it's limited. Jewish people are called God's chosen people, not non-Jews, not individuals. So God's chosen people of different criteria, different things they can do. Very, very different than non-Jews. Very different. So why did God make it, put it out there? Good question. Yeah, it doesn't mean they should tap into it. It's not what it means. Christians think it's cute to Passover Seder like Hanukkah candles. Yeah. So what? Listen, for Jews, it's an easy thing to do. These are mitzvahs, easy thing to do. They don't do it right anyway. But it's easy to do. Okay. Just because someone does something doesn't mean they have a clue about it. I think that's obvious. It's obvious. Someone says, Tractate Sanhedrin says, references no high laws, right? That is true. That's what I was worried about. I don't really talk to my parents anymore. Anyway, yeah, again, family's hard. Kaufman always says family's an albatross. Very, very hard. Other one recently, like they'll always say every so often, what's the next holiday? So I'll give an answer. That's it. Move on. Not really interested. That was it. Yeah. I mean, whatever, you limit contact. That's what you have to do anyway. Probably what you're going to have to do anyway. Yeah, I was talking to someone, earlier about something. Whatever. And it made sense that they were just already, they were already talking about something else. But they obviously they really could care less what I had to say about what I was talking about. So it wasn't about Torah, but some medical thing. But they take it with a grain of salt. They're not interested. They're gonna make fun, you could be talking about something, and instead they're like trying to shoot you down with it. Okay. When I was in the States, or a couple years ago, or have these type of people around, I don't open my mouth unless someone asks me something. Someone asks me something, I'll answer, maybe. Yeah. If they don't ask me anything, or I hear something, unless I feel I absolutely have to say something, I will. If not, it's a waste of time. Someone says so difficult. Keep your mouth shut. Yeah. It's hard. That I agree with her. Yeah. One of my personal pet peeves is that people open their mouths, they talk authoritative, they don't have a clue what they're saying. But you have to be there respectful. They can say whatever you want against you, and you have to have your hands tied behind your back, slapped upside the head, and say, "Can I have another?" "Oh yeah, turn the other cheek, thank you. Turn the other cheek, thank you." If you say anything against them, it's like, come on, you don't have a right to say that. "Oh, calm down. I wasn't, come on, you gave it. Let me give it back." I'm not saying it's right to do. It's very hard to take people seriously, when they say something idiotic. And they say it with authority. They say it with authority. That's the worst. That, I think, is one of the worst things. It's one thing you're ignorant, you know what you're doing, blah, blah, blah. Okay. It's one thing to say something and be emphatic, you know what you're talking about when you don't. Someone said you can't make, mayonnaise is always dairy. I said, no, it's not. Because the most mayonnaise I know is not dairy. Par means there's no milk in it. He said, you can't make mayonnaise without milk. I said, really? I said, I can show you a whole bunch of brands. There's no milk in it. This person started chastising me, what do you know? This I keep kosher. I know these things. I said, learn 10 hours a day. I should know these things, right? I should know something. People want to make you look like an idiot and say, oh, you don't know. I know there's no such thing as mayonnaise without milk. Really? Did you ever eat Hellman's? You know what Hellman's mayonnaise? You ever hear of it? Hard. I'm not saying you can't make, mayonnaise that has milk in it. I'm not saying that. We don't sound like an idiot, authoritative, and think no such thing as, as what do you call it? It's mayonnaise that doesn't have milk in it. Really? No such thing. Oh, yeah? Like you took a survey? You walked to the A&P or Kroger's or whatever? Any of these stores? You checked every single mayonnaise. Every single mayonnaise has milk. Really? You got a survey on that? Come on. Person want to make me look like an idiot. Person sounded like a lunatic. There's no such thing as mayonnaise on milk in it. Oh, really? I beg to differ. Here's Hellman's. Harv. Nah, that's a mistake. You want to call up the company? Go call up the company and ask them, what does Parv mean? It means there's no milk in it. How can you make mayonnaise without milk in it? You want to know all the ingredients? Go look at the ingredients on the can, you idiot. It doesn't have milk in it. No milk byproduct. Can't be. You gonna make me go stupid? Come on. Can't stand that. But I just sit there and listen to this. Yeah? Oh, come on. You don't know anything. All right. We're going to hammer the point. I just said it's not true. There's mayonnaise that's not, there's no milk in it. It's Parv. I said, I can definitely show you. Not a problem. They don't want to listen. Okay. That was the end of the conversation. I'm going to sit there and whatever. It's a funny story. But it's pathetic. You got the IQ of a doorknob when it comes to kashrus. You want to tell me what kashrus is? Come on. It's like someone reading an article on Wikipedia on physics and knocking off Stephen Hawking. Really? Come on. Be real. Well, that's what I think. Well, that's beautiful. You don't know anything about physics. Like someone's at a conference, rabbi's at a conference, Torah and science. So the scientist comes up to him and says, can't you just assume, can't we just sum it all up in that religion's all about be nice to people. Don't do to others what you would want done to yourself. So the rabbi says, well, it's very interesting. When you look at science, can't you just sum it up as twinkle, twinkle, little star? Scientists didn't like that. It's pretty funny. It's a good line. Come on, twinkle, twinkle, little star. All you scientists out there. Got to minimize religion? Come on. Yeah. What else you got for me? Should I, Jay, do wear kippah tzitzis? Why not? Some people would say only right before conversion. I don't think so. I think you can practice before. Right? Can you do it a couple of years before? Why not? Some would say you don't do it till right before conversion. I'll just say, why not? Some people say you can't look like a Jew before you're a Jew. I don't know. I disagree. If you want to, you can. It's not a problem. Right? If you want to, you can. Someone does something that makes you happy during the day, brings them joy and happiness, but it's nothing to do with the Torah. They're wasting their time. Watching sports. Come on, watching sports not true happiness. Fun? Right? Definitely fun. Right? Does it give real meaning? Does it give real meaning? Even if your team wins the championship, great. Does it give real meaning? It's enjoyable. It doesn't mean it's meaningful. In the bigger scheme of things. Somebody asks, it's converting, last question here. Is converting to Reform and Conservative Judaism or other types of Judaism except Orthodox considered true conversion? No. Why is it not considered true conversion? Because the rabbis don't keep what they're supposed to keep, right? Those rabbis don't keep Torah. They desecrate Shabbos, right? If they desecrate Shabbos, they have the status of a non-Jew, technically, unless they repent. If they have the status of a non-Jew, can you use a non-Jew as part of a rabbinical court for conversion? Can't do it. Forbidden. So if they deny God runs the world, God's in charge in all these things, if they deny that, how can it be true? How can the conversion be true? I'm going to stop there. I do this every Tuesday and Thursday, 10 o'clock Eastern time, 5 o'clock Israel time, back to a normal schedule. Anyone has any questions, find me on Facebook at Michael Chaim Kaufman, Beyond Orthodox Conversion Judaism, orthodoxconversion.com. Beyond Orthodox Conversion Judaism on YouTube. There I got videos on Ethics of Our Fathers, Q&As, Book of Leviticus. If a person wants contact, send me an email, rabbichaimkaufman@gmail.com, RBBIChaimCoffman@gmail.com, which I'm good beginning of the day, middle of the day.